Welcome back to the Emperor Atheist channel with your host, the Emperor Atheist. This particular video, very interesting. And it is known from time to time that certain dodo birds, particularly people like Ray Comfort, who I've actually spoke to a couple of times and debated over the phone, tried to get him to debate live one time about a year ago, and he never did. But then he makes these videos. He's just one person I particularly name in trying to prove theism, prove that his imaginary God exists. He walks around with this big ass Bible and shit all the time. But he's a really funny guy. But the main question that these people always ask, and this is the question I'm asking in this video: if you believe that the universe has to have a creator, and I'm talking to all you theists, and a lot of you say, a lot of the apologists say that the universe is so complex that it has to have a designer. And people like Ray Comfort ask dumbass questions like, well, if you see that car, which is basically a weak watchmaker's theory. Those who are not familiar with watchmaker's theories, it's just, you know, just to randomly speak on it. If I run up on a watch and I say, oh, this is such a beautiful watch, wow, somebody had to make it. So this is an old ass argument that theism been used for hundreds of years. That is the weakest shit that you could ever even think about. But anyway, this is what people are still doing in 2017, using this watchmaker's type theory to prove, and I'll use an argument that this particular imaginary God exists. But this is the thing, and this is why it's so weak, and I'm going to show you how weak it is. If you say that the universe is so complex that, well, look, somebody had to make that watch, or somebody had to write that book, or somebody had to make this computer that I'm looking at right now, I'm going to say yes to all those questions because it's common fucking sense that we know for a fact, we can prove. We actually can have papers and records of people building buildings, people creating this fucking computer that I'm looking at, people making that fucking watch that I just found all of a sudden. But when we talk about the universe and the complexity of the universe, and if you say that, well, the universe had to have a creator, had to have some intelligent designer, then if that is the case, then I have to ask you theists the same question. If the universe is such a complex thing, then obviously the creator himself is also complex, because the complexity of the creator couldn't have created something like the universe that you say is so complex. So the number one question for you who believe this and who use this weak watchmaker's theory, then who created God? This is the question that you can never ask. You can never answer, I mean. Who created God? Now, if you're going to tell me a bunch of bogus shit, well, God has always been here. God has been here for whatever time period. We don't even fucking know. We can't even guess, I guess. And we can say, this God has always been here. Then what you're saying is that you really don't fucking know. And that you have no fucking clue. Because the same thing that atheists or scientists or naturalists or whoever else says about energy, and we understand that energy, we have no record for energy. We don't know where energy came from. But we call energy what the fuck it is, energy. We don't know what happened before the Big Bang Theory. We do have evidence for a Big Bang or something about 14 billion years ago that happened. We have evidence for that. But what's before that? We have no idea. Nor do we claim that we know. And this is the beautiful thing about science, and which is the ugly thing and contrary about religion, because you actually think you know every goddamn thing and y'all don't know nothing. And when we say energy, which we particularly just consider energy as a part of nature, as a part of natural occurrence, we don't know where it came from. I'm not going to even try to tell you I know where energy came from. But you theists say, well, that's got to be God, because God was here before everything. See, that's your problem. You have to come up with something to cover something else. It's like, you know, it's an old saying. You got to tell a lie and you got to tell another lie. If the universe had to have a creator, then the creator also had to have a creator. Where did he come from? You saying nothingness created something, so God just came out of no fucking where? That's what you're saying. That's basically saying. So basically, guess what? You and me are saying the same damn thing. Only fucking difference is I have enough sense not to say that I actually know where energy in the beginning of the universe came from, But you are stupid enough to say that, yeah, God did it. If you've never seen God, talk to God, God had never done a damn thing for you. That's the difference between you and me. Now, this is a very deep philosophical question that no theist has ever answered. Because if you say that God was here before everything, then how can you actually speak or actually say that God is self-existing? How is that something that we can just accept? Now, let's refer to energy. Do we say energy is self-existing? We don't know. We have no idea what happened before what we consider to be the Big Bang. We have no idea. We don't know if energy is self-existing or not. Something caused it to happen. Atoms happen. Quarks happen. But do we say that some God, some being called God or Allah did it? No, we don't. Because let's just say God or Allah did do it. Let's say that some creator did do it. You still can't escape the question, where did God come from? Where did he come from? What is God made out of? And if he made material things like atoms and quarks, which eventually evolved into planets and suns, hydrogen and helium atoms turning into all these things, then what is he made out of? What material is he made of? What was it doing, or what was he doing when none of these things existed? Where did black holes come from? Come on. Well, you have to answer. You have to ask all these questions. So your God was just here. Where was he? And what was he doing? So it's just an argument that Christians use, religious people use, that is just weak as hell. And like I always tell them, we're basically saying the same damn thing. We're telling you that energy has always been here. This is something that that science knows to be a fact. Energy has always been here. Energy can't be destroyed. We understand that. But do we think energy is some spook-filled God that's looking down on us or going to send us to hell if we don't act right? Or no, we don't think energy is that at all. We think energy is what it is. It's used for what it's used for. But that's my video on that. And I just think it's common sense is a very rarity. Common sense is something that is rarely used when we're dealing with situations like this. Like I say, Ray Comfort, he's a religitard. That's just a term I use. People who, if you ever listen to any of his videos, you'll see that the shit he's saying is like so fucking out of whack. He says the evidence will never change his mind about him believing in God. Now, for anybody to make an ignorant statement like that, they mean they have no room for growth. And those are the type people that I would love to stay away from. But hey, it is what it is. Once again, man, thanks for liking my videos, sharing my videos. Hit me up in my comments. Haters and all, we love it. We accept it. You know what I'm saying? We down for it. Once again, I almost forgot. It was another point as far as, it was an article I read. It was in a science journal. I think it was probably, this particular journal was called The Gods of the Gaps. And I know a lot of y'all are familiar with the Gods of the Gaps. And Gods of the Gaps is just something a guy named Stephen Teller was speaking on. He's a physicist out of UCLA. But Gods of the Gaps is an old thing where anytime people didn't have answers to their particular questions, all through history, science, even scientists I'm speaking about, because majority of the scientists like Isaac Newton, a lot of these scientists from centuries and centuries ago, they were religious at a lot of times. And even today, we still have scientists who believe in some type of religion or maybe some spirituality. But let me make a note of that. The National Academy of Sciences, though, is about 98% atheist or agnostic. These are the elite scientists, of course, and they don't believe in this bullshit God, imaginary God. But I just said that to say this. When in history, every time we came across something in the natural sciences, or in the world, in anything in world phenom that we couldn't answer, we always had the initiative to say, well, God must have did it. Even though we never had any evidence for this God, never saw this God, never heard this God speak, it was something that was put in us from the beginning of time to believe that there was something outside of the universe that had to make us. Even though we get no help from this thing, no time in human life No time in human history. The things that we see in these holy books, in the Bible and the Quran, are things that we don't see in real life. Like I always say, like this God coming down, feeding children, fighting wars for men, doing these type things. Daniel in the fucking lion's den, not getting killed. No, this is shit that Christians wouldn't even try today. And I've always challenged Christians to just do that. You know, you have faith. These people have faith in God and Jesus Christ and all this dumb shit. Why don't y'all go in the lion's den and see what'll happen? I mean, just try it. Matter of fact, some old dumbass preacher over in Africa just did it about 5 months ago, and he got fucking mauled. Obviously, Jesus was on vacation or some shit. I don't fucking know, but the shit didn't work out in his best favor. But like I said, all through history, the God of the gaps has been there. Anytime we didn't have an answer for something, we said God did it. But now this is a different time period, and people are thinking more, and we're just not going to keep putting God at the forefront of scientific nature, scientific phenomenon. The universe, one day we're going to find out exactly what happened, maybe before the Big Bang, and exactly how the Big Bang happened. Like I said, we have tons of evidence for the Big Bang, as far as background radiation, or gravitational lensing. We understand all these things. That's not even up for debate. But one day, I'm sure, maybe 50 years from now, 20 years from now, 100 years from now, I'm sure we'll have a cure for cancer and HIV. But one thing I believe to be dead on is that some God in heaven is definitely not going to find these things for us. Some God in heaven is not going to find a cure for these diseases because he haven't already. And I think it's going to take humans to preserve our planet, to preserve our water, to think for ourselves, and to advance in medical science and technology for the benefit of the human race in the future. I don't think that God or religion will ever help us. It's good, I guess, for spiritualism, for people to pray and to feel like somebody is listening, but for the realistic approaches of human advancement, I think we should have less religion, less God, and we should be more scientific in our thinking. And if something that we don't know, just don't say some fucking God did it. Let's just research and try to find it. You know what I mean? And let that be that. Because if God was real, I think he would have been found us by now. And it just ain't happened. So, hey, that's the Emperor Atheist speaking. Thanks for liking and sharing my videos. I'm the Emperor Atheist. I'm out.